Start streaming now. Alright, we are live. Allegedly. There we go. Hey, welcome. You're listening to the Longshots Sportscast, Longview, Washington's #1 sports-related podcast. 25 weeks running, if I recall correctly.
Something like that.
Yeah. I'm your host, Mike Holm. With me, as always, is Skylar Lovingfoss.
How's it going, guys?
And no Brady today. He is camping. You could say he's a happy camper right now.
He's going to take full advantage of this 3-day weekend.
Yeah, that's right. 3-day weekend. We got Labor Day, and we have a lot of stuff to cover, so let's get in there. First of all, I'm already an idiot. There's me, and there's Skylar, who normally sits there. So today he's Brady, though. So
I'm a little too tall to be Brady.
That's true. Brady's a manlet. No, he's not. So we got a lot of stuff to get into. Derwin James suffers a season-ending injury in training camp. We've also got the Leonard Fournette cut and signing that we're going to get into. Yannick Ngakoue finally got his wish and got a trade to the contending Minnesota Vikings. We're going to run down our predictions for round 2 of the NBA playoffs. We've also got, I want to gush about probably the best matchup of the first round, which was the Jazz and the Nuggets, where I think maybe, just maybe, we've seen the beginning of the next great rivalry in basketball. The Rockets Thunder ended in a very close/controversial fashion. We'll get into that as well. Steve Nash has been welcomed to Brooklyn. He is the new head coach of a Nets team that is looking stacked. Cam Newton he has been announced as the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. And let's see. Josh Gordon re-signed by the Seahawks, and then we're going to preview our Thursday night football matchup. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the Derwin James news here.
Mike's favorite thing to talk about.
Exactly. Well, no, it's not my favorite thing to talk about, but you are a joker. First of all, though, let me make sure I have something on me. This is live, pal.
Are you looking for the list?
I am looking for the list. Because I don't remember where I put it.
Oh my God.
I got it! Hey, look at that.
How
What are you doing? We're unprofessional as usual on this damn show. Okay.
It's alright. We're real people trying to make podcasts.
Real people trying to make a podcast. I like to be prepared, and I had all those thumbnails made last night. Anyway. So, it wouldn't be a Chargers off-season without a big, crippling, debilitating injury that puts me minutes away, seconds away from ending my sad life on this stupid earth. By which I'm talking about Derwin James with a meniscus tear. His season is effectively over. He had to go in for that. They were talking about maybe if they had to trim it, it would be a 3 to 5 week recovery.
Back by week 4, possibly.
But no, they have to sew the whole damn thing up, so he will be out 6 to 8 months, effectively ending his season. Obviously, this is a devastating loss for a Chargers defense that, as I've said tens of times, on paper looks to be pretty dominant this year. Unfortunately, or I should say fortunately enough, there's a lot of Pro Bowlers on that defense.
Yes.
That
very stout defense.
Very stout. The front seven's loaded. Bosa, Ingram, the rookie Kenneth Murray, Linval Joseph was picked up from the Vikings. He's drawn double teams in coverage, or I'm sorry, in coverage, whatever. And then you look at the secondary. There's 3 Pro Bowl corners on that secondary and a second-round pick in Nasir Adderley from last year who can help kind of fill the gaps. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, this is devastating. Derwin James goes on to Twitter today. He says, "Can't question God. Everyone's path is different, but I promise you I won't give up. Stay tuned. Time to rewrite my story." So
he's young. He's
this would have been his third season.
yeah. So
yeah.
This isn't. You guys have more years to.
Yeah. Well, and he's no stranger to coming back from stuff like this anyway. This is a guy who last year broke his foot and had a screw put into his foot so that way he could come back last year. So this is a guy who doesn't quit. He keeps on going. And even in the little time that we had him last year, he was balling out like a champ. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I don't want this to be another Jason Verrett. Many Chargers fans hear that name and immediately they tear their ACLs or their shoulders or whatever. Jason Verrett only played like 15 games for us in a 4-year span or something like that. And but whenever he was on the field, he was awesome, but he just could never stay healthy. It really bummed us out. So we're looking at that right now. But yeah, so the end of his season, there was a few guys that were effectively pretty well knocked out, but I so far in training camp. But I know he's the big one.
Who got the Chargers defense in fantasy?
I had them, and then after the Derwin thing, because I'm unsure, they're playing Cincy. I actually dropped them.
Really?
Yeah, but because I have their D, their kicker, and then I have Mike Williams
against Cincy.
Against Cincy, but here's why I dropped them. I picked up the Colts defense because they played Jacksonville in week 1.
Oh, that's a hot mess.
Jacksonville's a hot mess on account of they just got rid of their running back. Leonard Fournette is officially no longer a Jaguar as of. I mean, it didn't take long for him to sign. What was it, Tuesday or Wednesday that he got released?
Yeah, and it was signed Wednesday.
He got signed the following day by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette's the kind of guy. I mean, before he came into the league, he had kind of the makings. He had all-star athlete written all over him.
His first year was incredible, wasn't it?
His first year wasn't bad. You know what? I remember he had a good year. I don't know if it was necessarily his first year. I know that he had injury concerns coming out of college, but while he was in college at LSU. Let me see here. Can you just give me the?
This just screams of a bigger.
Can we just get the every season stats instead of people being a bunch of goofballs? Why are you guys gonna be silly about this stuff, man? Playoffs. Okay, here we go. Rushing and receiving. Yeah, his rookie year, he had 1,040 yards, 9 TDs. That's pretty good for. I mean, 1,000-yard running back.
Yeah.
That's not bad. His second year was when he missed 10 games with an injury. That was the year I had him for fantasy football, and I chose not to let him screw my team again. He also missed a game that year because he decided to punch a player on the Bills and got a one-game suspension. He ended that with 439 yards and 5 touchdowns. But last year was a bit of a bounce back. He had 1,152 yards, but only 3 touchdowns, which kind of was debilitating for his fantasy output.
But look at the team he was on, too.
He was on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the thing, though.
This year could be scary.
So here's the thing. He gets released. I mean, regardless of the TD output, nobody was really scoring touchdowns on that Jacksonville Jaguars team. Unless your name was DJ Chark, you weren't scoring anything. But that 1,152 yards on the ground is nothing to scoff at. Not to mention he caught 76 balls for 522 yards. I guarantee you that's good for second or third on the team in receiving because who else is catching balls on that team? It's like D.D. Westbrook, who I'm waiting on D.D. Westbrook to be as good as he says he is, and then DJ Chark. So Leonard Fournette, obviously that's a huge piece of that offense gone. Everybody's talking about the Jaguars possibly tanking. I, for one, was kind of a big fan of the whole Minshew mania thing, but it sounds more and more to me like they're going to tank. They're going for Trevor Lawrence, sunshine, from Clemson.
I heard that there's speculation that they're going to fire the coach and try to hire Dabo Swinney.
And that's the thing. So I like this storyline of the possibility of that. Think about that. They tank, right? They hire Dabo. Dabo's gonna get his guy.
Oh yeah, he's gonna take.
So I mean, if they're drafting one, they're getting sunshine no matter what.
How does Minshew feel about this?
Minshew was a 6th-round pick. He was never drafted to start in the first place.
Yeah, but he's not gonna want to go out there and lose. Nobody. You're an athlete.
He's not going to try to lose, but
They're going to make it impossible to win.
That team is so debilitated in terms of talent. I mean, they had some draft picks this year. Don't get me wrong, and then they used them the best of their ability. But that is a team that is so far removed from that 2017 playoff run. It's ridiculous. We're talking apples and oranges now.
Yeah.
So you think about it like this: say they go 3-13, 4-12, they wind up with the number 1 pick. I can't think of a team right now that could possibly do worse than them. So you look at it that way because the Dolphins are going to be better. They were the most entertaining 5-11 team
Yes.
I've ever seen.
They really came alive at the end of last season.
The Bengals are going to be better. They drafted really good Joe Burrow, T. Higgins to reinvigorate the offense. AJ Green is coming back, so they'll see whatever else they can get out of him.
But again, the Bengals.
Yeah, but still, they're certainly not going to be a 1-15 squad next year. And if they are, they'll be the best 1-15 team I think we've ever seen. So you're looking at it like that. Say they wind up 3-13, 4-12. Doug Marrone gets fired. They bring in Dabo Sweeney. Dabo drafts
Trevor
Sunshine,
yeah.
right? Here's the deal. Not only is that cool, but his division rival, who he has to play twice a year, is the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson, who he compared to Michael freaking Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I love a good storyline like that. I'm a sucker for it. It's like me wanting the Pelicans in the playoffs. Like, I love shit like that because I'm a big wrestling fan. So I like the whole
storyline.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's not a fixed sport to most people, but
let's not talk about it. Let's not even get into it.
But the point is, so anyway, Leonard Fournette gets released. And Doug Marrone, I mean, he really threw this guy under the bus. He said, listen, we tried to shop him everywhere. We couldn't get a 5th or 6th round pick for him. What does that say that they couldn't get a 5th or a 6th round pick for a guy that ran for almost 1,200 yards last year?
I think it...
Or do you think that he's exaggerating that a little bit?
I think he's exaggerating it. And even if he did shop him and couldn't get it, teams knew they dropped... What did the Bucs get him for?
Well, that's a good question.
Pennies on the dollar?
And probably, because he's not even starting. I mean, I mean, it will be by committee,
He
but
could be a real threat in that. Look at all the weapons on offense.
Let's see. It's 1 year. It could be for up to $3.5 million with incentives.
Steal.
That's a big time steal.
Steal.
He's making half as much as like Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
I think he's healthier than Todd Gurley. But here's the thing about Fournette. When he first came into the league, this is what I was trying to say, when he was playing with LSU, in terms of pure athleticism, he was being compared to the likes of LeBron James and Bryce Harper in terms of just being like, holy
just
shit,
a
phenom, right? And that's not bad. That's not bad company to be in. One is going to retire within the top 3 all time in his sport, and the other, while he hasn't gotten a ring yet, is always in the conversation in terms of best baseball players right now. So, obviously,
let's go Mike Trout then if we're going to talk.
Right. Well, but I mean, coming in, and you remember like Bryce Harper coming out of college.
Yeah. I remember I was reading articles on Bryce Harper in high school.
Exactly, and that's like where the comparison comes from. So it's like, okay, that's not bad company to be in at the start, but I think Fournette, in a way, I think his health and his attitude a little bit, I think it helped him get crushed by that hype machine a little bit, like a lot of guys do.
Mm-hmm. You see it all the time.
Marrone says he couldn't get, and I don't know, for one, I don't know if it's Marrone or Marrone, I don't care. He's the coach of a second-rate football team, don't at me. But he couldn't get a 5th or a 6th round pick for him. The Bucs get him for pennies on the dollar, and now the Jaguars don't have a running back. So that's one less dimension to that offense. So here's a fantasy football tip for you guys. If they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, get the defense. The Jaguars this year are the new Bengals. That's it.
Yeah.
So, that being said, how he performs with Tom Brady's Buccaneers will be interesting. Bruce Arians has already come out and said Ronald Jones is the starter. But we know as well as anybody, just because Just because so-and-so's the starter doesn't mean you're not going to get a touch. I mean, this is a committee-based running back league. There's a handful of teams
that could change quick.
It could.
Because if he's as athletic as they say, and he's this feet, this might be the spot where he...
Well, if he busts his tail, that could change. But this is a league right now where this isn't the 2000s where everybody had, or at least more teams had a one guy. And even teams that had one guy had a solid backup. The Chargers, when they had LaDainian Tomlinson, we had Michael Turner backing him up.
Yeah.
And then he went and lit it up in Atlanta for a few seasons. You had Smash and Dash in Tennessee, and what was the duo called in... what were they called in Carolina? Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. They had a fun name too. Smash and Dash, I think that was Lendale White and Chris Johnson, if I remember correctly. Anyway, in Tennessee. Or I could be getting them mixed up altogether. Regardless, even your bell cow teams had a good backup back in the day. Nowadays, you got a handful like that. Your Zekes, your Saquons. I'm missing a big fat name here. Gurley, yeah. McCaffrey, thank you. You've got a handful of bell cow guys like that, but Derrick Henry. But really, it's other teams that are just figuring out roles for the guys by committee. The Saints were doing it before it was cool. You remember Pierre Thomas and Reggie Bush and Chris Ivory all on the same squad. The Jaguars were doing it a little bit with T.J. Yeldon and Chris Ivory and Fournette a little bit. Then you've got teams like San Francisco doing it at the best they can right now. I mean, at one point in time, they had Matt Breida, Jerick McKinnon, Tevin Coleman, and I think Breida's gone, but they've still got Coleman, they've still got McKinnon, Raheem Mostert, and they're all, I mean, there's not an A-plus guy there, but they're all really good in the roles that they play, and they fit that committee system really well.
I mean,
Chris Carson,
Rashad Penny, Homer.
Yeah.
And I mean, even last year, bringing Lynch in at the end.
Well, and even the Chargers. Austin Eckler's going to be the bell cow this year, but like last year, Melvin Gordon, Eckler, and even Justin Jackson was getting touches. And I feel like we're going to have something similar this year. Eckler's going to be like our better James White, but Justin Jackson's going to get some touches, and that kid Josh Kelly that we got from UCLA, he's going to be like our new Mike Tolbert, I think. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to be competing there with LaShawn McCoy as well. LaShawn McCoy up there in age. This is kind of a, hey, let's see if we can get him a ring kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it'll be. I don't think he'll be much of a threat to him on the ground. But Jones wasn't looking half bad last season. Brady is a big Ronald Jones fan. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm eager to see the direction that this Buccaneers super team, I'm not going to say dream team because we know what happened with the 2011 Eagles, but what this Buccaneers super team can do. Well,
I seen right before the show they were talking about signing an Air Bud and LeBron James too.
Yeah, are they going to sign Squints too?
Yeah.
Michael Squints Papadakis. An Air Bud. Good God. So moving on from that, we'll stay with the Jaguars real quick because Yannick Ngakoue officially got traded to the Minnesota Vikings, and even around the draft time, before the draft, he was saying, "Get me out of here. I'm done. Let's go. Chop chop. I want out." He was, I think, the last piece of that 2017 Jags defense. I'm Miles Jack, too. So Miles Jack is the last lone survivor piece. I mean, ever since then, you think about all those guys that are gone. Dante Fowler, Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, now Yannick. And there's more than that. I just don't care to remember.
That team might be the biggest fall from grace I've ever seen.
They went from 3-13 to 13-3, and then on the back of Blake Bortles, and then I remember after that year thinking, Blake Bortles is going to be my fantasy steal, dude. Oh man, things we wish we could take back. Good Lord. Yeah, it's interesting. In fact, I do actually.
This is a guy that said he'd take $6 million less to play somewhere else.
And that's exactly right. He's playing for $12 million right now. 1 year, $12 million with the Vikings. A Vikings defense, by the way, which is pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost Linval Joseph, so what do? You bring in another guy on the front four. I mean, Yannick Ngakoue is going to be a great addition to that defense. And they're going to be back to competing again. I mean, that's a team that has been kind of a stalwart in the playoffs the last several seasons. So it'll be interesting to see there. I do want to look, though, and see who all is gone now. If I go to that defense, the important pieces that are all gone. Calais Campbell's gone. Marcel Darius, Dante Fowler, Yannick Ngakoue. Let's see here. Paul Posluszny, I think he retired. AJ Bouye, Tayshaun Gibson, that was another big one this year. Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, that's that's a big fat mess right there. Blake Bortles and Chad Henne as your quarterback.
But I think they're going, 13-3.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was 10-6.
Oh, so 10-6, you make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think it might be a case of you don't adapt your game plan, because everybody figures that these good teams that always win. Belichick has a set game plan. Yeah. But he evolves it a little bit. Because teams start figuring that out. And I mean, they do it in Seattle. San Francisco, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see this year if
I'm just sad we didn't get a third Seattle-San Fran game last year.
Because that Green Bay San Francisco game was trash.
But that'll be the goal this year. But no, so Yannick, he's going to go contend with the Vikings. A Vikings team, which, by the way, let me see here. Vikings depth chart.
Well, I'm pretty sure we played them in the playoffs last year, didn't we?
Last year?
I think so.
Maybe?
I'll look it up.
Okay. Yeah, and you're looking at this depth chart on this defense. Danielle Hunter, one of the most underrated defensive ends in the league right now. Yannick Ngakoue is obviously there now. Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, Anthony Harris, Cameron Dantzler, who was just drafted, who is lighting it up in training camp from everything that I've heard. And then you look at that offense. Adam Thielen, of course, Justin Jefferson, the rookie wide receiver who's looking to be lightened up, one of my favorites coming out of college. Kirk Cousins, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook, who finally had a great year last season. So, I mean, we're looking at Garrett Bradbury was a great center coming in out of off of his season, coming in off of his rookie season. So that's a team that's gonna compete no matter what. So congratulations, Yannick. It's funny how these guys just kind of fall up. Leonard Fournette getting picked up by the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh no, they played San Francisco in the playoffs. Minnesota did.
That's right.
And it was a good game. If I don't have the scores here. I was just looking at the bracket. But
well. Speaking of playoffs, why don't we just switch the sport up a little bit, and we're going to get into our round 2 predictions. So to catch people up, Skylar, you were gone, but Brady and I predicted the round 1 matchups. And if you didn't see the post, I will go into it here. So by a score of 5-2, I won. Beat Brady. I predicted 5 matchups, and it's not just predicting who wins. It's how many games. I got 5 out of the 8. I'm pretty proud of myself.
I would be.
So I got the Nuggets in 7, Raptors in 4, Celtics in 4, Clippers in 6, and the Bucks in 5. He got the Raptors in 4 and the Bucks in 5. So, with that said, now that we have Skylar here, and I made sure to get Brady's stuff before he went camping, here's what we got. I have the Nuggets in 7 for this, and it's really not looking like that's going to happen after that blowout, embarrassing loss. Get it together.
Did they get whooped last night?
Yeah, like 89 to 120.
What?
Or something like that. Yeah, it was rough. Brady has Denver in 6. This is why I win. And then you have the Clippers in 7, and you're looking like the smart guy right about now. I made my prediction before Brady and I actually both made our predictions before the outcome of the Houston and OKC game. I said Lakers in 6, regardless of who they play. Brady said Lakers in 5. Skyler thought he was being bold and put OKC in 7, which I wish. I really do. And then he changed it to Houston in 7. And moving on, I have these. You and I both have Celtics in 6.
Yeah.
He has Celtics in 5. Again, this is why Brady loses. No, I'm just fucking with you, man. And then you have the Heat in 6. I have the Heat in 5. He has the Heat sweeping.
That's bold.
And he called the sweep before that game was over last night, or the other night.
That's bold.
And what's even more bold about it is that game was over on a walk-off free throw.
Yeah.
Which has not happened since 1976.
I want to go to this Houston game. Did you know that they called Chris Paul for a delay of game there?
Yeah, and you know that
because we didn't have sound. We were so confused with what was going on.
Well, did you know that he called out that referee in the press conference?
Well, because he said he went down to tie his shoe to look at the scoreboard. He admitted that he went down to tie his shoe so he could watch to call for a replay.
Right.
And then the ref goes, "Hey, you got time." I forget what he said.
He said, "You got time, so you don't got to do that."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do that meaning, like, call for the...
No, you don't need to tie your shoe. You don't need to act like you're tying your shoe. He goes, "You got time." And then called a delay game on him.
Okay, the plot thickens. Yeah, because Paul... I really felt bad for Chris Paul on that.
The last 30 seconds of that game were the most confusing seconds of NBA basketball.
Not even the last 30 seconds. It was the longest 1.6 seconds I think we've ever seen in basketball. Here's the thing. Paul broke my heart with that press conference because, that guy was choking up. He had tears. And you felt for him because I felt for him. It's like, dude, I doubted him from the get-go. I thought, wow, the Rockets just sent Paul for Westbrook. They just put him on a sinking ship, and they're going down.
And he turned that team around.
He turned that team. They have some good young pieces.
Yeah, they do.
Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Steven Adams. They played extremely well all season. They actually had a higher seed than the Rockets.
Yeah.
They deserved it. Chris Paul, were it not for just what freaks LeBron and Giannis are, I think Chris Paul should have been an MVP candidate for taking that team into the playoffs when everybody had them count. Everybody.
Yeah.
Unless you lived in Oklahoma City, and I think half the people in Oklahoma City, from the get-go on the season, they had them counted out.
Yeah.
So, it broke my heart, man. I really wanted them to get in there, and you could see, but he did call out that ref. He said, "Dude, I don't know what the fuck that was all about."
He called a delay a game on Chris Paul. Is that why they took the one shot away, and they only did one shot at that point? That confused me too.
I assume.
I've never seen that unless it's a technical.
And here's the thing: this was a part of a big sequence of mistakes that were made. Lou Dort played out of his mind. And of course, he kind of made a rookie mistake just trying to get an out of bounds on Harden. Harden, homie, don't play that. Harden jumped over that ball like he was leaping a hurdle.
I am not a Harden fan.
I'm really not either.
But I have got to give him props on that block.
Yeah, that was amazing. Well, and here's the thing: the block and the awareness to jump over that ball.
Yep.
I will say this because it's such a seemingly dirty tactic, but everybody does it. Hey, ball's out on you, bud. Like. It's so fun. I don't know. That shit gets me. It's
That's
funny.
Schoolyard shit.
It is, totally. So, Dort was playing out of his mind, but then you go into, he could have sidestepped and taken that three. He knocked down 6 threes last night as part of his total 30 points. In that game for a total 30, as part of his 30 points. You can't tell me he didn't have as good a shot as any to make that shot if he'd have just sidestepped around and taken it.
Yeah.
But you understand, it's rookie jitters, it's whatever it is. Then you get to that free throw, which anybody could have taken. They put Gallinari in there, and he misses. But then, and you think, well, I mean, like Shannon Sharp was saying, Chris Paul probably should have taken that shot. But then when you think about it, Gallinari had made 59 straight heading up to that shot. So then you're like, well, I can't fault him. I mean, at first we were questioning the decision, going, why isn't Paul up there? Why isn't Paul up there? But then when you hear that, you're like, okay, actually, you guys are being smart there. And I mean, they had chances to get it. They couldn't inbound the ball. And that's where, as much as I...
That's a young team mistake not getting the ball in.
Right. Well,
because you don't see the Blazers doing that. You don't see the Lakers making that. They get the ball in. As
impartial as I would like to be, being that we are doing a sports show for everybody, I'm not a Rockets fan.
No.
But as much as I'm not a Rockets fan, I gotta give that defense props. They played really well. Covington played really well in that game. That block, Harden is the number one guy who can draw a foul off of taking a 3-pointer, but conversely, he knows how not to draw a foul on a 3-pointer. He came at him from the side like that, and it was perfect.
Harden came out. I got a little respect for Harden because he didn't come out and say, oh yeah, we beat him. He goes, they played us tough. They're a good team.
Well, that was down to the wire. I mean, from the get go, and it was just it was a wonderful game.
I mean, I don't know what Westbrook said about it.
He wasn't happy about the ref, but I mean, I would like to think that he's not too sour about it.
Yeah, because Westbrook's one of the ones that at the beginning of the season going, I don't have to worry about OKC.
Right.
I got out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really wanted OKC to win this one. We all did at work, and I don't know. It just didn't happen.
And again, that's a lot for me to root for OKC.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Because I have a strong dislike for OKC.
So, moving on to, I wanted to talk a little bit more about round one in the playoffs. That Utah Jazz Denver Nuggets series was amazing.
Phenomenal.
And we saw, I mean, these are two guys that we already knew were good, but these are two guys that I have cemented in my head will be superstars. Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell, each man had multiple 45 to 50-something point games in that series. And it's really no wonder. Matter of fact, let me look that up real quick so I can kind of get into that. I spelled jazz like an idiot. But anyway, they played out of their minds, with Jamal Murray, it was one of those things where we knew he's one of the best players on that Nuggets team. But he reminds me a little bit of a young Steph Curry in the sense that here's this guy with this incredible shot, but then everybody's saying, why is he not putting up more threes? Yeah. With Jamal Murray, that was the whole deal. Dude, you only take 5 threes a game, and you make them. What are you doing? Then all of a sudden he's, oh
no. We're good.
Oh, was it? Are we?
Yeah. I'm not used to having the mic cord next to me.
Yeah, I hope that didn't screw anything up.
Looks like we're still going.
Was it the headphone that?
Yeah, just the headphone.
The shit on this show. And if you were watching with us the other day, you'll know that Brady, or a few weeks ago, Brady rolled over the mixer cord, and I lost my mind. I went ape crazy on his ass. I didn't do that.
Rookies.
Yeah. No, my mic is still on here. Okay. Boy, you fucking had me panic, my friend. You made me panic a little bit.
We're still good.
I almost shit my pants. So anyway, getting into the first round of the playoffs. So, game 1, the Nuggets beat them in OT by 10. Big story of that game. Donovan Mitchell drops 57 points. Jamal Murray had 36. And right there, it's like, okay, Donovan Mitchell dropped 57 and they lost. Whatever, nobody's talking about it yet. Game 2, Jazz storm back. It's a beating. 124-105. Donovan Mitchell drops 30. Jamal Murray, very quiet in that game. Okay, we're chugging along here. Okay. Game Trace. Jazz lay the smackdown on their candy asses. 124-87. And again, Jamal Murray, very quiet. Donovan Mitchell, he's quiet for him too. 20, because Mike Conley came back and was lighting it up. Then you move on to Game 4. Jazz win by 2. They're up 3-1. Jazz blew a 3-1 lead, dude. But nobody's going to talk about that. Jamal Murray drops 50.
I haven't heard a word about anybody saying that.
Exactly. Jamal Murray dropped 50. Donovan Mitchell dropped 51. Then you go to Game 5. Donovan Mitchell drops 30. Jamal Murray drops 42. Then you go, and by the way, Game 5, Nuggets win by 10. Then you go to Game 6, wherever Game 6 is. Nuggets win by 12. Jamal Murray drops 50. Donovan Mitchell drops 44. Then you go to Game 7. Game 7 was a defensive stalwart of
like
a game.
I told you, I looked at this game and I was like, oh, end of the third quarter, 80-78. And I walked away and then I looked at the clock and it was midnight. And I was like, oh, what?
80-78. Donovan Mitchell drops 22. Jamal Murray drops 17. Jokic, of course, came out as the hero in that game with 30. But this was the thing. Both those guys were killing their opponents from the line. So in Game 7, it came down to defending the three-point line like your life depended on it.
Yep.
And at the very end, Donovan Mitchell has that ball with 24 seconds to go, loses it at about the 9-second mark. Denver storms back. Guy misses a dunk, NBA Jam style. Jazz get it back with 4 seconds, charge down the lane, take the three, and it misses. And you can just see Donovan Mitchell falls to the ground, and he's so upset with himself. And the first guy that comes and helps him up is Jamal Murray.
I like that.
I did too. It made me. I felt it in my heart.
Warm and fuzzy.
It made me a little emotional. A little, not teary, but a little glittery in my eyes.
Glassy.
A little glassy. Thank you. And it's one of those things where, in that series, this is a first round series of basketball, and I'm never going to forget it.
Nope.
Because I firmly believe we've just seen the next great rivalry in basketball. That is the seeds. They've sown the seeds for the next great rivalry.
As much as I don't want to say that because it's the West,
but I'm not a Jazz fan. I am not a Denver Nuggets fan, but I am a basketball fan. And if you're a basketball fan and you weren't mesmerized by what you saw in that series, then I don't think we were watching the same series. These two young guys played their absolute hearts out, and I honestly have a feeling, because they're going to be around for the next 10 years. And I really got to thinking, when you put this into perspective, think about everybody that's going to be gone 10 years from now. LeBron's going to be gone. If we're going to 2030, LeBron James is gone.
Yep.
Harden is gone. Westbrook is gone. Curry is gone. Dame might be gone because he'll be 40, 41 by that point.
He could be here, but he won't be here. He'll be a Vince Carter. An emotional veteran leader on a team.
Right.
They can go out there and drop a couple trays for the half-court line.
Chris Paul's going to be gone. But this new generation, I mean, we're going to be looking at a point in time with the top 10 players in the league is like Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Jamal Murray, Jokic will probably still be there. That's going to be scary. And then you got Zion or Ja. Congratulations to Ja Morant, by the way, for winning the Rookie of the Year award.
Well deserved.
Very well deserved.
I feared that they were going to give it to Zion.
Yeah, like they gave him the 2K cover.
Yeah. They just gave him the Rookie. This is Dame Dollar.
That's right. But so it really put things into perspective for me, where I'm like, this was, I mean, the 2000s generation of basketball is insane. But then when you look to 2030, a lot of those guys are not going to be around anymore. But I firmly believe Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell are going to be there, and they're going to match up further in the playoffs down the line. For their respective teams, they're going to play either in a conference final, or if somebody leaves the free agency and goes to the East, they'll play in the finals, and it's going to be wonderful, and I can't wait to see it. I think both those guys have bright futures ahead of them. And Donovan Mitchell, I mean, for a team like the Jazz that hasn't done jack shit since, especially since Karl Malone and John Stockton's days.
Yeah.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the best player they've had since that era. I would say he's better than, I mean, you would have to put, I guess anybody that's going to be a contrarian would say, well, what about Carlos Boozer and Darren Williams? He's better than those guys already. Yeah. I firmly believe. And, I mean, they believe it too. They gave him a supermax deal, 7 years, $150 million. Well-deserved, by the way. I can't wait to see what he does with this team moving forward.
Yeah.
I think they're a wonderful young squad. Rudy Gobert is also a great player. And I love to see the fact that they mended their chemistry after this whole COVID thing, almost like they wrote it out together, and they got pretty far, and I think they're only going to get further next year. The West is going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. Devin Booker's going to be coming back angry. The Warriors are going to be coming back. I want a front row seat. I'm ready to see what the West does in the playoffs. So congratulations again to the Nuggets
for moving forward. The Blazers should be healthy with Rodney Hood back.
Blazers should be healthy. Rodney Hood. Are you guys going to sign Trevor Ariza again? Oh, speaking of Ariza, you know that he got accused of physically abusing his 12-year-old son.
I don't know if we bring Ariza back.
I don't know.
I joked with Brady about Batum.
Right.
And then we both started talking. He was a hell of a defender.
Yeah.
We need defense.
You guys need... Well, and it's like Colin Cowherd was saying before the Lakers matchup. He goes... He was honestly predicting like a Lakers sweep.
Well, but the only thing
he said, here's the thing. There's no... I mean, you can't defend LeBron. He goes, they're going to put Gary Trent Jr. on LeBron. He goes, I like Gary Trent Jr., but he's not going to defend LeBron. And here's the deal.
From what I've seen, Trent actually did...
He did better than anybody thought he would. And he's going to be a tremendous player. I've already gone on and on about how much I love Gary Trent Jr. He's my favorite Blazer. But they don't hardly have anybody on that team that has any dog in him.
Yeah.
I'm talking like a Pat Beverly or something like that, a guy that's just willing to get scrappy and whatever. Zach Collins has a little bit in him.
Now, granted,
but he's a big who's going to get fouls all the time.
It doesn't matter what we could have had that guy in that series, and he was going to foul out in the first. So
yeah, it was rough.
I mean, we're not going to get into how I feel about that series.
What's past is past.
Shame on you, NBA.
So, staying in the NBA, why don't we give a nice hearty congratulations to Mr. Steve Nash, the current coach of the Brooklyn Nets.
I like it.
He signed a 4-year deal, so he's got plenty of time to be good here. And I think it's going to be almost like a Steve Kerr kind of thing. Although Kerr had coaching experience. It's worth noting Nash does not. But Nash was a player scout. He was an assistant for Golden State. He actually won a ring with Golden State as a scout.
Watching him play, he's smart.
Yeah.
You get some of these guys that were shooters trying to be coaches, or...
Well, here's the thing.
You watch Nash when he was a floor general.
Yeah, 2-time MVP.
Yeah. I think it's a great choice by Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I think Steve Nash will be a great coach.
I firmly agree. And here's the thing. I'm sad to see him go from Golden State scouting team because he has an eye for talent. I mean, he was getting bench guys for us that were lighting it up. And you think about Nash, obviously a 2-time NBA MVP. And that's nothing to scoff at. In an era where LeBron James was dominant with the Cavaliers, Kobe Bryant was dominant with a now Shaqless Lakers. You had Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, all mixing it up around that same time. Nash comes out with a 2-time. Tim Duncan.
Short little point guards just.
Yeah, but I mean that he played for. I mean, anybody that doesn't know who Steve Nash is, if we have any younger listeners, Go look at mid-2000s Suns. They called it 6 seconds or less. It was probably the finest coaching job Mike D'Antoni ever did. And that team was fun. And it's one of Brady's favorite basketball teams ever. You had Steve Nash. You had Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Joe Johnson. Later incarnations, you had Boris Diaw and Leandro Barbosa. Shout out because he won a ring with my Warriors. And you Shaq, the last couple decent years of Shaq, post Heat and Lakers. Just a fun-ass team, revolutionizing the way basketball was played in the 2000s. That just were dealt some bad luck in terms of some injuries and some bad rules as far as people getting kicked from playoff games and this and that during a really crushing Spurs series in, I believe, 2006 or 2007. But yeah, Nash, obviously one of the best. I think he won that. What's that All-Stars challenge that they do? It's not the 3-point or the dunk. It's
the skills challenge.
Skills. He won the skills challenge several years, if I'm not mistaken. Because he's got wonderful handles. He's got a great grip on the fundamentals. Also, by the way, he's the first ever coach born in Africa to be an NBA head coach.
Interesting. I didn't even know.
Considering he's a white guy. Just think it's funny. No, I'm really happy for him though. And obviously, we've talked about the Nets on and off, especially in the bubble. They are a stacked team.
Oh yeah, he's inheriting what should be a super team.
I mean, considering they didn't have any other superstars in the bubble, they took Portland to their limit. They got to the playoffs, and yeah, they got swept by the Raptors, but who wasn't going to sweep them out of that East, aside from maybe the Magic or the Sixers?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I believe the Sixers either will have or are close to signing Tyronn Lue as their coach.
Steve Nash won it in 2005.
Yep.
And 2010.
Okay, but I remember he was in it several years as well.
Other winners: Dame Wade, Darian Williams, Derrick Rose, Steph Curry.
Hell yeah, I remember that year.
Tony Parker, Dame Dalla.
Dame got it too?
Dame got it 2 years in a row.
Hell yeah, okay.
But weirdly, at 13 he won it, and in 14, Trey Burke and Damian Lillard won it.
I think that was one of the years that they were kind of fiddling with it, made it a team thing or something. Because they always kind of try to mess with stuff when people aren't watching. It's just an interesting deal. But we've talked about that team. Those guys in the bubble played better than they had any right to. We counted them out from day one.
Yeah.
When we knew no DeAndre Jordan, no Kyrie Irving, no Durant. We were sitting there going, who do you have?
Which all those guys could have easily come back.
Right.
They were all healthy.
Spencer Dinwiddie was sitting out too. Now you figure those four guys are coming in. You've got the team that you've got here. Obviously, you're going to keep the best of those guys. Karis LeVert and Tuabu, whatever the hell his name is. Samir not going to work here anymore anyway. Those guys. They're... Then you got a coach with the mindset of Steve Nash. I don't care if he doesn't have experience. He's a 2-time MVP with a good head on his shoulders, who doesn't get into trouble, he's always been known as a great teammate.
Yep.
Not one person I can think of has ever had a damn bad thing to say about Steve Nash.
I don't remember seeing him having a fight on the court.
I think the only time is he didn't instigate it. He got fouled really hard in the playoff series against the Spurs. He got like a cut, his nose or whatever. He had to wear the mask, and his cut on his eye wouldn't stop bleeding. And then two of his guys left the bench because Robert Horry instigated it. Two of his guys left the bench, which was an old rule. Hey, if you leave a bench during a scuffle, you're going to get a suspension. Horry got 2 games, but Dia and I believe Amari both got 1-game suspensions, and it fucked them on the series.
Yeah.
It's one of those horrible cases of the bad luck on a team that will go down as one of the best teams to never win it. But Nash can get Nash got a ring as a scout with the Warriors, but he can get a ring as a coach too. I think that'd be tremendous. He's got some of the best players in the world at his disposal. He's got Kevin Durant, he's got Kyrie Irving, and I'm here for it. I'm ready to see what happens. Brooklyn's never won a ring anyway. They came really close in the early 2000s when they were in New Jersey, but they got swept by the better team in LA. So I'm eager to see where that goes. I will say it's worth noting Stephen A. Smith made a big stink about Nash getting signed.
Really?
And called it white privilege and all this other stuff, which we don't need to get into
No.
here. But it kind of interesting. And an anonymous West coach said, absolutely not. The guy doesn't have any head coaching experience. Tyronn Lue would have been the obvious choice, blah, blah, blah. Well, what can Tyronn Lue do without LeBron James? Is it not? I don't think it's as obvious choice as you think. And has Ty Lue even signed to coach the Sixers? Because that'll tell you everything you need to know, I think, this coming year. Let me see here. Ty Lue. Okay, he's still an assistant coach in.
Oh, he can't
LA.
sign yet.
Right. But they are eyeing him. And, I mean, he's had one head coach stint, and that was in Cleveland with LeBron. So, he's got the experience, but as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't coached a team without the best player in basketball on it.
Here you go. Do you think LeBron will ever be a head coach?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he already is. Let's be real.
Well, he's like the Peyton Manning of football, or basketball. Oh my goodness. He's like the Peyton Manning of basketball. In the sense that, and I say that instead of Tom Brady because you know, Manning called most of those plays.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost like, why does Indianapolis have an offensive coordinator if Peyton Manning's going to call all these plays and audible at the line and Omaha and all this other BS? But, no, he's like that. Now, Manning hasn't become a coach, but come on.
Yeah.
He's going to get bored eventually. And he's going to become a coach.
He's going to get tired of playing golf. And
He'll do it, and I feel like LeBron will do it too. Now the question is, obviously, he's playing long enough to play with Bronny. I think it's going to be like the Ken Griffey Jr. Senior situation. They'll play 1 year together, and LeBron will figure out a way to play with his son, and then LeBron will retire.
Well, that's the thing. LeBron doesn't need money, so
no,
if he comes in and his son goes to. Oh, I hate to say Portland because I don't want anything to do with that family, but
sure.
Who's the worst team? The goddamn Knicks.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. They're like the Redskins of. They're the Washington football team of basketball.
LeBron goes to the Knicks for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Just to play one season with Bronny.
And then he'll peace out.
And then he'll retire.
Yeah. My thing is, I feel like LeBron is going to coach Bronny.
But he's going to play 1 year.
But the question is, after he plays that 1 year, does he coach Bronny or does he coach a team that is a rival to Bronny?
I don't know.
In that
Here's the
does he try to push him? You know what I mean?
He does this. Bronny goes to some shit team. LeBron goes over. They win a championship. Does LeBron retire? Or does he come back for one more year?
No, he retires. I mean, I think...
If you're smart, you retire because you do it like Peyton. You retire on top.
We've got, 3 years until Bronny comes in? If I recall. Because I think he's a sophomore. I think he'll be a junior this year. So we've got a couple years until Bronny can play. So the thing is, LeBron will play till he's probably 40 or something like that.
So he's 15 to 3 years.
Okay, we got 3 years.
If he comes straight out of high school.
Let's say LeBron wins at least one ring in the next 3 years. That puts him at 4. 3 different teams, by the way. If he gets one, say, this year with the Lakers. I don't think he's necessarily going to ever beat MJ's 6. He's going to come real close.
If he wins that 6th one in that last season with Bronny, you don't think he comes back to try to cement the number 7?
Because I think he's got too much respect for the people that came before him. I mean, at that point, then you're just playing to stroke the ego a little bit. I mean, if you're going for ring number 7 and you're 39, 40 years old, and it's not coming natural and you're trying to force it, you're stroking the ego.
I mean, now granted, we can all say Michael would probably have more had he not gone and played baseball.
I mean, yeah.
But he also played till he was 40.
Yeah, but we can agree that those last several years that Michael played should never have happened. His tenure as an executive and as a Wizard is one of the most regrettable returns of all time. I don't care if you had that tender all-star game moment of him playing with Kobe or not. That's one moment versus 3 or 4 seasons of misery with the Washington Wizards, a team that just was held back. Like, no, I don't know. I don't think we see... And here's the thing. I think LeBron, and all due respect to Michael Jordan, right? But I think LeBron... I think he has a more selfless head on his shoulders when it comes to
that very well could be, because...
I don't want to see him as well, but maybe I do. I don't necessarily want to see him as an executive, but I will put money on it that he would be a better executive than Michael Jordan any day of the week. But I would rather see LeBron coach. I think it would be interesting. But no.
And yeah, you're right. LeBron, he is more of a people person.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's an arrogant prick.
Yeah. I love him to death.
Yeah.
But he's not. No, he's got the inflated ego of like an A-list actor. You know, and fair fucks to him. You're the greatest player of all time. I mean, whatever. But
he might be the greatest athlete of all time.
But I'm sorry. You think about some of the other greatest players in their respective sports. Jerry Rice is renowned as one of the nicest people on the planet. Wayne Gretzky, same thing. You know, Ken Griffey Jr., guys like that.
Ken's awesome.
Ken's amazing. So it's, I mean...
Like, I've talked to Ken a couple times where I've just seen him and I'm like, hey, what's up? And he stops and talks. I've heard Michael Jordan won't give you the time of the day.
No.
Turn his nose up.
Doesn't even want you to look at him. Yeah. Well, even other players in basketball, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, I'm sure they're wonderful dudes. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And obviously, not every player is built to coach. I mean, some do it better than others. We've seen, but Nash has a better chance to succeed. This isn't like Derek Fisher being asked to take the Knicks from worst to first and, you know, regardless of Phil Jackson being president or not. This isn't Jason Kidd with a piecemeal Bucks team and do we have a good player in Giannis or not. You know, I think it's going to be interesting, and I think I welcome it. I am so excited for Steve Nash here.
I'm going to go off for a second on the whole situation with being fan friendly, and all these sports need to take a page out of NASCAR's book.
Yeah.
NASCAR, you can buy a pit pass and you can walk through the garage. You can stay in the same trailer inside the track, right next to the superstars. And at night, after the races, some of the superstars will get out on their little golf cart and they'll buggy through the fan area. And they'll be like, oh, these guys are playing cornhole and drinking. And they'll get out and they'll play cornhole and drink with these guys.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, other sports need to do stuff like that.
I agree. I think that'd be great, man.
Because NASCAR understands that the fans are why they're there. And I don't feel like all NBA players feel that way.
Right. Let's see.
Even baseball and football. Now, football, they're getting a good lesson right now about fans, though. Like, because we don't have any.
Right.
There's no fans. They're realizing, wow.
Hold on real quick. I just saw, so obviously we've seen some NBA awards being handed out. Obviously, John Morant won the Rookie of the Year award, but here we go. Coach of the Year, Nick Nurse, Toronto Raptors. The Most Valuable Player, the finalists, are Giannis, LeBron James, and James Harden. Chris Paul should have been there. Sorry, I don't care what anybody says. The Rookie of the Year went to Ja Morant. The other finalists for that were Kendrick Nunn from the Heat and Zion from the Pelicans. Sixth Man of the Year just went to Montrezl Harrell from the Clippers. It was him, Lou Williams, which is kind of funny too, from the Clippers, same year. I would have probably gone with Dennis Schroeder, but as much as I'm not a big fan, Montrezl Harrell gets fired up. So Giannis gets the Defensive Player of the Year over Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert. Most Improved Player goes to Brandon Ingram over Bam Adebayo and Luka Doncic. So, yeah, good on them. Also, real quick, because we're going to get back into football here. I don't even have a thumbnail for it because this happened today. Adrian Peterson got released
from
the Redskins.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say.
Well, the Washington football team.
You
the Washington
say
football
Redskins.
team. I can't say Redskins.
You can't say
I'm
Redskins.
I'm sorry. Don't hit me again. So the Washington football team has released Adrian Peterson. Somebody says Adrian Peterson to the Bucks.
Oh God.
Interesting choice, but now it means Antonio Gibson is going to be the star. I believe they took him in the second round this year. I wanted him in my league's fantasy draft, and fucking Keaton took him, and I didn't know that he took him, and I'm grumpy about it. So good luck to Antonio Gibson. And it's crazy to me that you're going to release Adrian Peterson. I know that he's old, but if I'm looking at his stats, I thought his last couple of years have been good, and they have. Last year was a bit of a down year. He had 98 yards, but he was splitting time with Darius Skies. The year before, he had over 1,000. Not bad for a guy who is, I believe, 35. But I don't know. I mean, I like the guy. Hopefully AP gets picked up by a contender.
Yeah.
If there's somebody who deserves a ring right now that is active in terms of a running back and all that, I mean, LaShawn McCoy or AP, it's one of those guys. Maybe the Chiefs. Chiefs, as much as I hate your guts, I mean, pick him up. You can do something with him. You gave LaShawn McCoy a ring last year, right? Or did they release him last year?
No, I believe he got one last year.
He better have. Damn, dude.
You hear that, Minnesota? Pick up AP.
Yeah, Minnesota homecoming. Let's go. What's the shame or what's the yeah, he did get one. What's the hurt in having him back up Dalvin Cook? Minnesota, let's do it. You guys brought Randy Moss back. Bring Adrian Peterson back. He's not going to help anybody playing for like the Jets or something stupid where he's not going to win anything.
Although they're salty. Didn't all that shit happen on their watch?
What?
The child abuse.
That's in his house. I don't, it's a man spanking his kid with a switch. He just was parenting like they do in the 60s and 70s, man, right?
And that's why those people are all they're not sensitive and soft.
Okay, I got spanked as a kid.
I did too.
How do you think I became the man I am today? Honestly, I'm just being an asshole. I don't know the whole situation with Adrian Peterson and the severity to which he swatted his boy.
Spank your children.
Maybe spank your kids.
No, spank them.
No,
just don't abuse.
We like
good spanking every now and again.
Take it from the dad here. I'm not a dad. I'm a dog dad. I'm a dog dad.
Do you spank your dog?
Sometimes.
Okay. There you go.
Most of the time he gets really hyped up, and I have to kind of wrestle him to the ground and until he peters out. But
I do the same with kids.
I put him in the baby's first sleeper hold, and no, but it was funny because like Kin was telling me, she's like, okay, you have to be dominant with your dog. You have to get on the ground with him and hold him down and make sure he knows that you're the guy, right? And I'm like, okay. So I'm doing that, and she goes, honest to God, I mean, I don't think I could have asked for a better guy to do this because, she goes, like, probably 50,000 wrestling holds.
Oh, Mike.
And I'm just like, I'm not putting my dog in the walls of Jericho.
Tomorrow he's getting the sharpshooter.
The sharpshooter. No, I just kind of, just hold him down. I'm like, hey, relax, calm down. You know?
Tomorrow I teach you the ankle lock.
The ankle lock. Good golly. Yeah, I'll put him in the Bob Backlund, the cross-faced chicken wing. I love my dog very much. Bose is a good boy. So yeah, anyway, Minnesota, sign AP. Chop chop. Let's do it. Next up, Cam Newton. Cammy. In news that everybody with a brain saw coming, Cam Newton has been named the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots for the 2020 NFL season.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
For a guy with a chip on his shoulder. Belichick had it down.
I said it from the beginning. You don't fool anybody in telling people that Jarrett Stidham is the guy when we haven't seen a damn thing out of him.
Yep.
I get it. We haven't seen a damn thing out of Tom Brady when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. But we're talking about a guy who has no game experience, let alone no playoff experience. And everybody wanted to talk about how Jarrett Stidham's going to be a guy and he's still going to... Patriots are still a playoff team and blah, blah, blah. But everybody wanted to delegitimize, the Chargers for having Tyrod Taylor.
You don't bring in an MVP and a Super Bowl playing quarterback and not start him.
And I'm going to tell you now, Belichick... And he's got to be licking his chops at having a guy like Newton. Yeah, you're not going to have Newton as long as you had Brady. Newton's not going to play until he's 42.
Yeah.
He plays too athletic of a game to do that. Yeah. But you've got at least 3 or 4 years of great Cam Newton football. And I think a New England system with a running back committee and some of the guys that they have, that defense, which I think is better than Carolina's defense, I think that you can utilize him to the best of your ability.
Well, an athletic quarterback, because let's be real. Other than being able to throw the ball,
yeah,
Tom Brady is the most unathletic person.
Well, and given your options, it was him or Jameis, and we said it from the start. And as much as everybody wanted the Cam Newton to the Chargers train, which I wouldn't have minded. I do like. I'm a Tyrod Taylor advocate. I do like the guy. I loved him when he was in Buffalo. Newton was the better choice here. Jameis Winston, I'm here for a Jameis Winston redemption arc. He sits a year or two behind Breeze until Breeze retires and he takes the reins from him in New Orleans.
Yep.
And I think that's a great system. I think Sean Payton's a guy who is level-headed, who plays a conservative system that can get the most out of Jameis Winston and right his wrongs.
And will still be coaching a while.
He'll be coaching a long time.
I mean,
he already has been.
Belichick's coming close to the end.
Sean Payton, I think, aside from Belichick, Sean Payton's one of the longest tenured head coaches. I think he's been with the Saints since 2006. Him, Mike Tomlin, I think, are the two, aside from Belichick, I think Payton and Tomlin are the two longest tenured head coaches right now. And then Harbaugh after that with the Ravens. But no, I think that I just think it's going to be cool to see what he does in New England, and he puts the Patriots in the playoff picture. I don't see it in Jarrett Stidham because nobody sees it in Jarrett Stidham. You're lying to yourself if you do, because you haven't seen the guy play a full game.
Yeah. Whereas
Cam Newton, former MVP, he went to the Super Bowl. As Pat McAfee put it, Von Miller stole his soul. But there's something there still, I like it. He's got a plethora of running talent behind him. Yeah. He's got James White, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, Damian Harris. That's 4 dudes that can run. Some of them can catch the ball, some of them can't. I like it. I'm excited for it.
So, head coach.
Yep.
Bill Belichick.
Obviously. He's been around since 2000.
Marvin Lewis doesn't count anymore.
No.
Mike McCarthy doesn't count anymore.
No.
Sean Payton.
Yep. Since 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin does not count anymore. Is he still?
Yeah, since 2006.
07.
07, my bad.
John Harbaugh, 08.
08, yeah, I remember
Pete
that.
Carroll.
Pete Carroll since 2010.
Jason Garrett, no more.
No.
Rivera, no more. Jeff Fisher, no more.
No.
I don't think. Andy Reid. No.
Since he's been with the Chiefs since 2013.
Yeah. Mike McCoy.
Don't fucking go there. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's gonna be a good deal. I'm eager to see what happens here. So like I said, give it a couple of years, and Jameis will be starting for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right now, Cam Newton, it's his time to shine with
He will
New
be starting in New Orleans as long as his character issues don't come out, because Sean won't put up with it.
But I think sitting on the bench for a couple of years behind a high character guy like Drew Brees, for a high character coach like Sean Payton, I think that helps a guy out. And you're playing for a guy like Michael Thomas, who has to brag and flex every time he catches a ball, even if it is just for 10 yards on a slant route. But I think it's great.
Michael Thomas.
Say what you want. He's a talented guy. He's probably the best possession receiver in the game.
Fuck my fantasy season, all right?
Hey, Brady
I'm
got
still
him in my league.
on it.
So, no, are you thinking of Mike Evans?
No, it was Michael Thomas.
Was it really? Did you have him or did you play against him?
I played against him.
Yeah, he'll screw you
I
up.
was 40 points ahead. He scored 30. I had the Saints defense playing. And they didn't allow a point, which saved me, right? I'm up 3. And then all of a sudden, the defense collapses and lets the other team score, drops my defense score down to 1, and I lose.
So, staying with the receiver fire, Josh Gordon has been re-signed by Seattle. We saw this coming. Obviously, everybody is still kind of clinging to the thought that he can rekindle that rookie season, where he led the league in receiving yards on the Browns. Obviously, with the marijuana use not being penalized in the NFL anymore, which, about time. Thank you for... Yeah, you know what? It's fashionable to shit on Goodell, but I will say he's redeeming himself a bit.
Yeah.
That's a big step. And that honestly, the whole draft...
Yes, it was
we talked about, he was very entertaining to watch. He enjoys the booze. He's winning me over a little bit, and I hate to say it because I spent years hating on the guy. Yeah. I had him right up there with David Stern. It's just like, but no, I like Goodell now. We're cool, man.
How much do we see of Josh Gordon?
I think
he's a number 4.
Is he though? He's a number 4 right now. But I think he's number 3.
And didn't we just add Richardson too?
You brought him in for a look.
Did we just work him?
I don't know if you signed him though. I don't think Richardson can make that team.
Yeah.
Think about who you have.
Lockett, Metcalf, right?
Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Philip Dorsett.
Yeah.
Oh, that's outside. Somebody weed whacking. Tyler, it sounded like an aired out tire. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Philip Dorsett, who will probably play slot. Josh Gordon. That's loaded.
That's a stupid receiving.
You guys have a sick, deep receiving core. It's going to be fun to watch.
For a guy who throws a great deep ball.
Oh, yeah. One of the best deep balls in the league. I mean, it's him and it's Mahomes. So, I'm eager to see it. Hopefully we get a full season out of Josh Gordon.
That would be such a phenomenal Super Bowl.
That would be a great... Oh, yeah.
Mahomes, Wilson.
I do want to look at his stats, though, because I don't know that he's played a full season since he's come back, has he?
No, he keeps getting suspended.
In his rookie season, so he had 805 yards. Then the second season, he only played 14 games. He had 1,646. Then he only played 5 in the next game, or in the next season, for 303. Missed two seasons with the substance abuse. Played 5 games in 2017 for 335. Then he played, what was it? 12 games for 737 total. And then he played a total of 11 games, starting 7 for a total of like 500 and some odd yards. So you need to see a full year out of the guy before you can determine what you've got. But if you get a full year out of Josh Gordon, I don't think he's going to top 1,000 yards unless he pops out immediately.
Yeah.
But I think his ceiling.
And God forbid.
Right.
Metcalf, Lockett go down.
Right. I think his best case scenario is that he leaps Dorsett on the depth chart, which I don't think should be too tough. I like Dorsett, but he's never been a number one guy, not in Indy, not in where he was almost labeled a bust, not in New England. I think Gordon could leap him for 3. And then I think his ceiling from there, given that you have 2 great targets there and a couple running backs that can catch the ball in the backfield, 800 yards.
Yeah.
But that's not bad.
No.
Not bad when you got 2 guys that can go over 1,000.
Yeah.
Not a bad deal at all. So, moving on to close out the show. Football season is upon us.
Whoop, whoop.
And we are doing our first Thursday night football preview. And then, which just dawned on me, that I will be starting my next Monday, not this coming Monday, but next Monday, I will be starting my second show, the Monday Morning Monologue, where I recap all the games that happen each week. That came up on me quicker than I thought it would. So, what the schedule is going to be for this week, we're going to cover the Thursday night football matchup. We're going to preview it. It is Houston and Kansas City. Then we'll watch that game Thursday at work. Friday, we will preview all the coming matchups for Sunday. We'll guess who's winning. And then I was thinking with Brady, we don't need to predict scores, except for prime time maybe. But we'll do the over-under. We'll see if we take the over or the under.
Over-under. And I do got some bad news on her pick'em.
Mm-hmm.
CJ has decided that she is retiring, going out on top.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? Big ups to you, CJ. CJ is out. Our co-worker, Terry, he's actually my friend Jake's grandfather. His wife, CJ, picks these games left and right each week. We did a weekly pick-em at work, and let's just say, outside of a week that I won, a week that my buddy Jacob won, you won a week, right? No, you didn't. Outside of a couple weeks that us won, I believe Terry must have taken home like
Terry won 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So, congrats to CJ for going out on top and giving someone else a chance.
That's I had 3 people go, well, I'm not playing if CJ's playing.
So,
she's put her time machine to bed.
Big ups to you then. So what we're going to do, we'll preview those, we'll do the over-unders, and then... That didn't pick up on my... And then... I just wasn't thinking, dude. I just did that. What the fuck is wrong with me? Okay, well, I'm going to go back and listen to that and make sure. Anyway, my brain is fucking mush now. The games will go Sunday. Monday morning, I will recap those games on the Solo Monologue show. I'll preview the Monday night matchup, or we'll talk about. We'll predict the Monday night, and then I will go in depth on the preview for the Monday night matchups and the Thursday night matchup on the Monday show. Then we'll rinse repeat. So what we've got here, and I need to get yours. Brady chooses the Chiefs over under 51. He picks over, and we decided to guess a score on this one. He says 42-31 KC. I said the Chiefs. I pick over. I've got 35-30 KC. What say you, my man?
I'm gonna go Houston.
Okay. I like that one of us always has to do this. Okay, go for
I'm
it.
gonna go under.
Okay.
And score. Over under was what, 51?
51, yeah.
Go 24-21.
Okay. So, you
You heard him say it here, folks. He said the Chiefs didn't happen. You can't read that. He said the Chiefs dynasty isn't about to happen. He's a Chiefs dynasty revisionist.
No, I like it. So obviously this matchup's going to be interesting. You got the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. Who better to kick off the primetime season? Pat Mahomes, who can throw, a 70-yard ball just standing on his feet because he wills it so. He's got the fastest receivers in the game. Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, obviously are a great duo. And they've got a running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is much ballyhooed coming out of college. And a decent defense that really picked it up at the end of the season. Guys like Frank Clark and Tyrann Mathieu on that squad. Be interesting to watch. But then you got Houston, who seemed to get the Bonehead of the Year award for Bill O'Brien for trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a peanut. So they got rid of him. They took on David Johnson's hilarious contract. We'll see if they get anything out of him. And they signed. They traded for Brandon Cooks as well. So you're replacing DeAndre Hopkins with Brandon Cooks. You've replaced Lamar Miller with David Johnson, who I think has something left in the tank. It'll be interesting to see what they get out of him there, but I just can't see, as much as I like Deshaun Watson, as much as I hate the Chiefs, I can't see Kansas City dropping this game in prime time. I'd like to see it, but I can't. So
It'll happen.
So, I think that'll do it for this show. We've got a wonderful Thursday preview, and then we will be back at it again next Friday to talk about the game and to preview this coming week in football. So,
Football is back.
Football is back, and there's no better time to be here, and we finally got here. We finally got to this point with the show. I didn't think we were going to make it 6 months, but we finally did it. So, we'll be back to talk more basketball, more football, in-depth previews, and we'll have Brady here too. He'll be here for the ride as well. So, for him and Skylar, take it easy,
Have
guys.
a safe Labor Day.
You better. You better do it.